You're listening to LVB Podcast Show with your friend, advocate, and host, Alvaro.
Hello and welcome to LVB SHOW. My name is Alvaro and I'm very happy to be with you tonight. Before I introduce our guest, I want to say thank you so much for people listening from the United States, from Canada, from Australia, from Africa, from Europe. We have a lot of listeners also in Latin America, people in Mexico, people in Argentina, Ecuador, Peru, Colombia. And well, tonight we have, again, it's been a long time, years actually, since we first interviewed Winston Chen, the developer of Voice Dream Reader and other applications that are wonderful for people who are visually impaired and blind worldwide. And he has a lot to tell us about how this has been progressing, all the development of applications for us. So Winston, thank you so much for being on the show again.
Oh, thanks for inviting me again. It's been, that was, how many years has it been? Maybe 3. It's really been been a long time. Yes, I'm so happy to be on your show again.
Thank you, Winston. And our listeners may be thinking, okay, so can you describe for us all the applications you have available and for which operating systems you have them?
Sure. So with VoiceStream, the primary product that we have is VoiceStream Reader, and it's the largest of our applications. It's also the most feature-rich and also been around the longest. And that's for reading documents, like any PDF documents, DAISY files, text files, MP3s, whatever. For consuming reading material. We have a second product. It's called VoiceStream Writer, and that's for composing text. And it uses a syntax called markup, which allows you to format text using plain text. So it actually makes it very easy to especially for people who are visually impaired to write text in a formatted way. Earlier this year, we released a third product, which I was really excited about, and it looks like the community has been equally excited about, and that's VoiceStream Scanner. And that is as the name would suggest, it's an OCR scanner that uses the camera on the iPhone or iPad to take a picture of text, pages, documents, and so on, signs, bottle labels, and use text to speech to speak that out loud. So far it's been very well received. I'm very happy about that. So those are the 3 products, and those are all on iOS. VoiceStream Reader, the main product, is also on Android. Though they're not at feature parity, the Android is a little bit less feature rich than the iOS version, but it does most of the things it does most of the key features.
Now, for our listeners, I have to say, Winston, I just bought VoiceDream Scanner a week ago, and it's great. I have to say, I really congratulate you, because what you do it very well. I have to say, for our listeners, I mean, most of my listeners are in the US and they use your products, and I have been using VoiceDream Reader for many years, actually. And for instance, so people understand some of the features that VoiceDream Reader has, it has allowed me to prepare my conferences. I'm a motivational speaker myself, and what I do with that is that I have text I put it into Voice Dream Reader, and then Voice Dream Reader is going to read it to me. And when I do a conference in Spanish, because it has so many languages, it allows me also to be read in Spanish, and it helps me prepare for my conferences. And when it comes to receiving a big file, for instance, a Word document, and it may be 60, 70, 80, 100 pages or more, I put it into Voice Dream Reader and it's going to read it to me. And it's a wonderful way of learning, studying. It's just unbelievable what you have done with this application and with the screen lock, which is very important for our listeners. It's not going to consume the battery that it would if it was not locked. Um, and it's so many other things that it can do. Can you explain, Winston, what are some of the, because you said it a little bit, but if you can go deeper on what kind of formats it's able to handle?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, most people use it to read ebooks. So that's EPUB, Daisy, Daisy 2, and Daisy 3. And the books have to be, they cannot have DRM. DRM is a way publishers encrypt their books so that it can only be read in an application like Kindle, if you buy it on the Kindle store or Apple iBooks. So those won't work in Voice Dream Reader, but as long as it doesn't have DRM or it's not encrypted, it'll work. Also, people use it to read PDFs. A lot of students use it to read PDFs. Often class handouts come in PDF form. Other formats supported web pages. You can go to Safari and you see a long article there. You can say, I'm going to listen to it. And you can say, save to VoiceStream. It would extract only the article part of that web page. So that means it won't carry over the menus, the ads, and so on. Just the pure article goes into VoiceStream so that you can listen to it. It supports obviously plain text formats, supports Microsoft Word, and supports rich text format, RTF format, and also supports something a lot of people around the world, I was surprised, have, which is zipped MP3s. I think a lot of folks, especially those who are visually impaired, have collected audiobooks through the years, and typically they're in a zip file with each chapter being a separate MP3 file, is all zipped together. So you can read that, you can load that and read it. And the difference between VoiceStream Reader and regular audio player is that first and foremost, it remembers where you left off. And second thing is that you can have bookmarks. You can have audio bookmarks. And that goes with all the formats that we support. You can bookmark, you can annotate, you can select a passage and highlight it, add your notes, and then export those notes later. So that's really good for students and for people who want to read through the materials carefully and really learn from it. So think about that as a full-blown reading application that supports multiple formats, and on top of that, the primary differentiator is that it's text to speech. Gives you choices of lots of voices, both voices on the iPhone that come with iOS and third-party voices that you can buy through in-app purchases.
Now, Winston, I wonder, when you think about improving Voice Dream Reader features or the accessibility that it has, it's very hard to find something that needs to be improved. What are you thinking you want to do with it?
Well, this last couple of weeks, I have been I've been working on improving text extraction from PDF documents. And taking text out of PDF documents is actually not trivial. If you are reading a PDF document visually, PDF is a visual format. So if you dig into what's actually inside a PDF file, it's actually just a collection of characters and where they are on a page. Sometimes it doesn't even have spaces. So it preserves the visual format really well. But when you're trying to say, okay, now what's actually the text in this document? It's not simple. So we've been working on making the text extraction even better, handling more of the corner cases when somebody makes a PDF that is a little bit unusual. So that's something that I've been working on. It's not a huge undertaking, but probably this enhancement will probably come out in a few weeks. So that's one area. And I have a massive to-do list, and this is just one very small example. There's always there's no with a software product, there's no finished. There's always little things you can do to make the app just a little bit easier to use, just to make it handle a little bit more kinds of data input. So there's always work. No shortage of that.
In Winston, do you know how many people have downloaded the application worldwide?
Oh, actually, I actually don't know the exact number. I want to say 200,000, 300,000, something in that neighborhood.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's understandable for our listeners because of the power that it has. That's unbelievable. That's big. Wow.
Yeah.
In Winston, I remember when I bought the application, and someone asked me, and this was years ago, said, "But it's worth it. It's worth to pay for it." And I didn't know about the application much more than I read a little bit about it, and I heard about it, and I said, it sounds very nice. We'll try it out, because to be honest with you, Winston, and for our listeners, I didn't like the other audio players out there. I really didn't feel they were being as powerful as I needed for my work, etc. And when I bought it and I started to play around with it, not having a lot of knowledge of voiceover on the iPhone, I discovered how easy it was to work with it, and how wonderful it worked, and how reliable it was. So I would like you please to tell us, what is the price of your applications. I want to put that on because it's important for people to understand how inexpensive they are, understanding the power that they have and what they can do for you.
Yeah. So the reader is $15 per download. The writer is $10, and the scanner is $6. The reader on Android is 10, also around $10. So then that's it's a one-time price. As most people probably know, most feature-rich applications that run on mobile devices, they're very simple applications that don't do very much, and they will charge $1 or $2 or $3. But most feature-rich applications have gone to a subscription model, where it's free to download, free to try it for a few days or a week, and then after that, usually it's a fairly high price per month or per year. A competing product, for example, charges something like $20 a year, even. So all VoiceStream apps are one-time price, and you get it for forever.
It's incredible, Winston.
Yeah, and the reason, from a business standpoint, I'm the main developer, but I also own the company. So from a business standpoint, this is only possible because we don't spend any money on marketing. So all the cost in the company goes into developing the applications, the products, and our customers like the product so much they tell other people about it. So word of mouth is what makes this possible, because otherwise we would not be able to have this model. We can't. This financially it wouldn't work.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, about Voice Dream Scanner, can you tell us what is able to do this application? I have tried, but I want you to tell us.
Sure. I've been thinking about scanning for a long time, because one of the requirements, one of the things people ask for very often is in the reader, why can we use the camera to take a picture of a document and import it into the reader and listen to it? So I'm aware of the need for it, and also working with visually impaired users. I know a lot of users need OCR scanners just to go through everyday life. What's this label on this bottle of medicine? What's this? What is this canned food? What is inside? But OCR technology has gone through a lot of changes over the last year. It's really the last year, or maybe two, but mostly the last year. Because before that, OCR technology has fundamentally come in two kinds. There's the kind that's really cheap but not very good, and so any software developer can incorporate OCR in their app through sort of open sourced OCR library, and that but honestly does not work too well. But then there's very good but very expensive, and these are the libraries from companies like Abby, ABBYY, or from Google, because Google, you can use Google Cloud to OCR stuff. But that's also really expensive because they charge you for every scan, every image. So that was kind of the state of things until about last year, when the processing power of the smartphones have gotten to a point that they're so powerful that they can run very sophisticated artificial intelligence driven OCR algorithms right on the device without having to go to the cloud. And like I said, so this was only possible over the last couple of years because these devices have become so powerful. And for those of you who are technically oriented, one of the drivers is actually not the CPU of the devices. It's actually something called the GPU, the graphical processing unit. That the graphics on these things have gotten so much better, and just so happens that GPUs, what does graphics on these devices, is also really well suited for doing artificial intelligence, namely running neural networks. So this technology change all of a sudden has made OCR into something that's fantastic, great, amazing in quality, super fast, and very inexpensive. Right, so those three conditions are now, can be met at the same time, and that was when I decided, okay, this is the time to do an OCR, to do a scanning app. So that's VoiceStream Scanner was created using a combination of techniques, all of them machine learning based, that does the scanning. To be frank, when I started experimenting with it, I was just shocked by how good the quality is and how fast it is. You can take a picture of anything with a text on it. It recognizes the orientation. It can rotate it for you automatically. It recognizes the language in it. And even when it's poor lighting, when even it's a little twisted, a little crumbled up, no problem. It'll get most of it. And if its lighting is good, and the result is often flawless. So that's the, I guess that's the driver for me why I wanted to do this application. And so far, I think the feedback has been really good. A lot of people claim this is the best. People who are visually impaired have experimented with.
Different because the technology is different, right?
Yeah, I mean the speed. I guess the speed is the main factor. The speed on an iPhone 10, or iPhone 10s, or latest iPhone, is super fast. And so there's no, and it's to the point where you never have to think about it. You sure, and then boom, then starts reading. That's how fast it is on these latest devices.
And tell us, are you going to release it Android anytime?
Working on it. We're working on it. It's probably will at some point. But Android is, as with most things are just a little. Things are always a little more difficult on Android. Tools are not complete, where some of the libraries we use is not there. So there's always more work. So anyway, but we're working on it. It'll probably come out at some point.
Winston, my final question before knowing your contact information is, if any developer is listening to this interview, what would you like to tell them about making their applications accessible for everybody?
Yeah, I think that what I always say to people is that making your application usable for voiceover users or various other accessibility needs, people with other accessibility needs, is very easy. This really comes down to making sure the controls have the right labels rather than just the name of the image file that is attached, so that users know what that button does. So there is. I would think it's no. People shouldn't debate whether to do that, and no, it's a good business, and it's also great for in terms of empowering people in our society who really should have access to all the great tools that we have available. Second, I would say is, if you are so inclined, take it a step beyond. Make it really good for voiceover users, for example. Take care, look into, ordering your buttons properly, so that it's because rather than a three-dimensional visual interface, now it's a one-dimensional interface where people will cycle through the buttons. So the buttons that they will use, you want those to be the first buttons that gets read out loud and becomes activated when the user enters a screen, for example. And if you do that, then suddenly you're going to have worldwide a group of very enthusiastic users who would tell others about your product all the time. So that's the power of accessibility.
Winston, I couldn't have said it better than you, and that's what I always remind developers, and I'm in touch with many of them in many occasions, and I have interviewed, as our listeners know, many of them and many that are coming. So, Winston, if someone wants to be in touch with you, how can they reach you?
You can. Best way to reach me is to email me. My email address is Winston. That's Winston. Winston at voicestream.com. VoiceStream is voice, and dream as in dreaming a night, one word. But some people often like spell it.
With many of them in many occasions, and I have interviewed, as our listeners know, many of them and many that are coming. So, Winston, if someone wants to be in touch with you, how can they reach you?
You can. Best way to reach me is to email me. My email address is Winston. That's Winston. Winston at voicestream.com. VoiceStream is voice, and dream as in dreaming a night, one word. But some people often like spell it stream as in like a river. But it's it's Winston at voicestream.com.
Perfect, Winston. Thank you so much for your time. I know you're very busy, but thank you so much for your time. It's been wonderful having you on again.
Well, thanks so much for inviting me, and I hope to speak to you soon.
Yes, we will. And for our listeners, remember, if you want to be on the show, you can email me at lowvisionbureau@gmail.com, and you can follow me on Twitter at lowvisionbureau. So this is Alvaro from LVB Show saying good night.